All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's up? Let's have some fun, talk some baseball. I got my man BJ in the house here today. Kind of excited to talk about this big 11-game slate we have here across the country. 6:35 start today, a little bit early today. Not even 6:40, man. Got us an extra 5 minutes on us there today, BJ. But how's it going? How was your week? Glad to have you back in and excited to talk some baseball.
Absolutely, man. Good week. Thought I had a fun little sweat yesterday for a last-minute seat in the DK final. Checked my phone 30 minutes later. Wasn't even close. Not even worth talking about. Soto going off for whatever 50 DraftKings points it was last night. Decided to talk some ball, though, and I think I'm going to get out of here and play 9 with the lady and hit happy hour and watch some winners.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I always like getting out there and playing a little bit of golf. Wish I could get out there a little bit more. I'd probably be way better than I am. I'm okay. I can shoot in the mid 80s, BJ, but it's like them 1 or 2 holes that piss me off that I just, I do something stupid. But generally I can hit the ball pretty straight, putt okay. I got to use my 56 more and get a little more comfortable with that club, and I'd probably be a little dangerous because I still like my pitching wedge and I can't get it up high enough, to land them straight, and it bounce off the green a lot of times, shit like that. But, I want to say hi to everybody, too, here in the chat. We got Mike Spencer, Parabate, Casey, Gator Nation, Charlie, Michael W., Johnny Gore, Andrew Martinez, Jake Swalls, Michael W. Yep, let's go. Safety meeting time. Have us a safety meeting, talk about some baseball, and get us some winners here today. But, hey, before we do so, I got to host the show today. There's all kinds of shit I got to do behind here, pressing, clicking this, clicking that, and all this. And, it's like, hey, you got an old guy like me, likes to have safety meetings. You guys want to remember all this cool shit we have going on at SHIPIT. We got the Shiptimizer going on. Like, we got NFL early crap going, stuff going on where you get extra bonuses, college football. You got all this stuff going on, right? I was like, man, I can't remember all this. So guess what they do for guys like me? They get our main man, D-Gen, who is our main guy here as far as marketing goes, and makes a little video for us. They're going to explain everything we got going on, everything going on here at SHIPIT. So here, let's just sit back, grab you some popcorn, enjoy. We'll watch this real quick. We'll get back talking to some baseball here in a second.
I just checked my calendar, and you know what? It's August, which means one thing. Football's back, and if you can't get excited for football in August, I got nothing for you, big guy. The big guy is excited. Guy in the back is excited. SHIPIT Nation is excited, and darn it, you better be excited too. So let's get started. Everything that SHIPIT Nation has to offer you in 2024. I hope you saw what an incredible year it was at SHIPIT Nation in 2023 for NFL season. And if you're thinking to yourself, I want all that again, well, don't worry. You're going to get it all and more. We have an entire team over here at SHIPIT of just the sweatiest tryhards you've ever met who are ready to offer you every single thing you need for every single slate, including the stack rankings, the DVP rankings, slate plans, player pools, every single thing. And oh yeah, if you don't know, all the stuff that I did at my site last year, DGen75, is now over at SHIPIT. I told you were going to get everything we offered and then more. So it's no surprise that at SHIPIT Nation, they had 3 Millionaire Maker winners last year, over 24 six-figure winners, and a handful of game-changing hits from our community. But what is it that I'm bringing up from DGen75 that's so special? Well, first of all, this thing called the Stone. If you don't know, I invented this for college football to try to help everybody, and now it has just turned into the best tool in all of DFS. You want my ownership and my projections. You want to know who's a good cash play, who's a good GPP play. I put it all into one place called The Stone. I do this for PGA. I do this for college football. We do this for NFL. And here's the best part. You get all of this in one place in addition to everything that SHIPIT Nation is already offering. You're still getting your Tambo, your Hoop, your Marley, your Tidal, your Hamwich. All of those guys, the sweatiest tryhards, are now there, and you get this in addition to the tools. And here's the best part. None of it is an upsell. It's all the same price, if not cheaper than everybody else in the community, and you're getting double the tools. This is what we do at SHIPIT. We want you spending your money on your contests and not on your content. So if that NFL Stone caught your eye, let me tell you about the college football Stone. I know a lot of you are saying college football is not even legal in 20 states. Yeah, but that means it's still legal in 30. And I am telling you, college football DFS is the next sport that's coming up. If you're intimidated by it, you don't know anything about it, well, don't worry. I have a stone right here that tells you what's a good cash play, what's a good GPP play, ownership, projections, everything you need, just like we offer for NFL. This was a big part of the merger when DJing came over, is I wanted to bring this over to SHIPIT Nation so people can see how fun college football DFS is. And you're thinking to yourself, man, I don't want to pay no $300 for no college football package. Well, don't worry. We don't separate our packages. We only have a football package. NFL and college football are one package, and here's the best part. Even if you just want to play NFL, our package is already cheaper than all of the competition, and you're basically just getting college football for free. So why in the hell would you not want it? It is an awesome tool. I have the sweatiest try-hard team behind me. College football DFS is a great little addition, and we don't upcharge you because, once again, put your money into your contests and not into your content. So what is this great price, and how does it compare to the competition? Well, let's just put up a chart, Bob. Here you go. You can see that we don't break it into a bunch of packages. We just have a football package, which includes both NFL and college football for $299. Here's the best part. You sign up before September 5th. We're going to give you free run of the entire website, MMA, PGA, MLB. You can be doing all of that stuff all the way up till September 5th just on us, because that's what we do to take care of our members. Not to mention, when you look at this, just start comparing the price. You are literally going to be saving hundreds if not thousands of dollars during the season. That is things you could be putting into your DraftKings and FanDuel lineups and not wasting, giving it to your touts and paying for shit that you don't need. Pay for what you deserve and get quality. That is what we offer here at SHIPIT Nation. 2024 has been a magical year for SHIPIT Nation. The merger between SHIPIT Nation and DGen has gone better than we could have ever expected. Just look at the success across NASCAR and PGA, MMA, MLB. All of the sports out there have been incredible, and now we're going to carry it over to this football season with NFL and college football, and we're going to blow your hair back by giving you the best product at the best price out there. We're also going to teach you about sustainability, about how to play DFS sustainably so you can be there long enough to hit those wins, to get those big hits. We don't care if it's $50, $500, $5,000. We want you to play long enough until you can hit it, and we can do that by giving you great tools at an affordable price, and that is our mission here at SHIPIT Nation. Come be a part of the most incredible community out there. Come be a part of a place that teaches you how to win, and come be a part of a place that celebrates your wins and not fucking moderators' wins. It's been awesome. 2024, the year of SHIPIT Nation. Come join the nation. It's going to be special in 2024. I'm out, you motherfathers. I just checked my calendar.
Whew. I'll tell you what, man. That guy is the best DFS video maker guy I've ever seen. I've been doing this since 2012. That guy is inspiring, man. I can't help it. I'm sitting here counting my money, BJ. How much money I'll be making during football season and college football. And those of you, I'll tell you what, college football is pretty the streets are a little easier than the pros. You got a lot of guys that just don't understand what the hell going on. You nail that cheap ass receiver that goes off for 2 touchdowns, man. That's how that rolls. But hey, looking forward to it. Hey, if you're here for baseball and you want to get NFL, man, you get baseball, the rest of the baseball for free. You get me and BJ for free for the rest of the damn season. Even if you join NFL, you want to check us out. So hey, appreciate you guys checking that video. But man, that guy's something.
I'm jacked up, man. He got me fired up.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, his golf videos are awesome, man. He puts like different videos and crap, like the Jurassic Park stuff, man. It's just awesome. One time he, obviously he's dealing with some medical issues, and we're all praying for him, and hopefully he gets better. But I'll tell you what, man, like there's a couple times I've had tears in my eye listening to the guy talk. It's like, man, that guy's inspiring. But either way, let's get rocking here. Get into some baseball. Looking forward to it. But I'll tell you guys what, man, we got to fucking nail one here tonight. Let's get us going here. We got a Robbie Ray slate here to talk about. Like Robbie, damn Ray, back in our lives, 50% probably going to be plus owned here today, BJ. We got a couple decent pitching options, I think, up at the top with some strikeout capability. We got Ray, we got Wu, and we got Blanco up there that I think you could look at. We got some guys in the mid pack like Berrios, Buehler, Gibson today. We got Kramer, we got Peterson, Grant Holmes I think is interesting. Cobb I think could be interesting, especially at his price. We got a couple different options up and down the slate. But what do you think about these top 3 dudes here with Ray, Wu, and Blanco? I think Ray's going to be probably, I'm saying a plus 50%, probably, especially over there on DK. I mean, the price is right. He's obviously, he had 105 pitches last time out. Robbie Ray seems to be back, seems to be the same Robbie Ray, still giving up 2.21 homers per 9 and still got a a decent walk rate. So, I mean, is that enough reason? Like maybe we just let everybody else play Robbie Ray, or are you on Robbie Ray?
Well, I get it. That was my first thought, was as much as I like it, he's 33% strikeout rate, he is walking, at almost 11%. You'll find reasons in and out. 55% is what my belief is it's going to be, especially on DK, like what you said. So I'm going to try and get a little bit different there, but I can't complain at all. And I'm certainly going to try and get a couple of these pitchers together on my DK lineups tonight. Just kind of figuring out how I like the bats, but I get it. I don't like it, but it is Robbie Ray day.
Yeah. So, I mean, just looking at what we have here from 8K and above, BJ, we got Phillips from 8K and above. We got Zittel, Tyon, Buehler, Berrios, Ray, Anderson, Wu, and then Blanco moving backwards over there at DK. So Blanco is the most expensive, 9,300 today. I think that's going to keep a little bit people off him. He's got a decent matchup. I don't mind going against Tampa. Obviously, we've kind of picked on him a little bit. I think he might be a little bit lower owned. I think Wu with the matchup against the Tigers, he's going to see a handful of lefties. Kerry Carpenter came back, so that could be a little bit of maybe a concern for him. But hey, don't mind picking on my own Tigers either. Anderson, I don't like picking on the Blue Jays. Obviously, the low strikeout team, as we've talked about many times. And then you got Robbie Ray sitting there, 8,600. And then you got Berrios and Buehler. I'm not sure about. They're still coming off the IL. But, yeah, I think it's an interesting bunch here. But obviously, we're looking for pivots off Ray. But who do you feel is the top pivot?
For me, it's going to be Wu. I know he just, played against these Tigers, 5 days ago, 6 days ago. But he's 2% walk rate. 9K seems fair. He got up to 88 and 92 pitches in his last 2 starts, which has obviously been his main concern. So that's where I'm going to go, spend the extra 400 on DK and play Wu. I believe he'll still get some ownership, just because as you go through some of these names, it's just somebody find me a bag so I can puke in it. But that'll be my top pivot. And kind of depending on how I feel ownership right before lock, if I do feel that it might climb a little bit higher than 55%, which is asking a lot, Blanco's going to slide in there as well. 24.5% strikeout rate. I know his walks are almost identical to Ray at 10%, but just trying to get a little bit different and hopefully find ourselves in a spot where you can get off Ray and, you can, surpass 55% of the field at first pitch.
Yeah, so I mean, generally, you guys hear me, talk about when I'm looking like, how many guys do I think could put up a big number that could burn me? I could lose the slate to. So today, I mean, I don't feel like I'm really fading too much where I fear. Like, I mean, if I'm fading Ray, it's still Robbie Ray. Like, I don't feel bad about it. If he beats me because he's still Robbie Ray. Like, I understand what I'm getting into if I fade him. I mean, he definitely has an opportunity to lay one out there today, but. You're just sitting there thinking to yourself, he's got Atlanta. I mean, do you really? I mean, it's still the Braves. Yeah, sure. It's still in San Francisco. But, I mean, I think Wu, is interesting. I think Blanco's interesting. But I think this is a slate even where I'm not opposed to paying down a little bit for some pitching, too. As, we mentioned, there's some guys down below. I think Holmes is definitely interesting in that same game here with Robbie Ray. I mean, he's had, 8 Ks, 2 out of his last 3 starts. Interesting coming off the bullpen. He did have quite a few pitches. Pitch count went up the last start. So I think he's definitely interesting, especially at his price, 7,600. He's 6,100 on FanDuel. I think that's really, really interesting. That is for sure. But, man, I think there's some decent options down here. So I think today is a day, other than Robbie Ray, I think you could see pitching kind of mixed up a little bit. I think Ray will be kind of heavy chalk. I think you're going to see some of these other guys, all kind of spread out a little bit. I mean, really nobody – I mean, other than maybe if you wanted to go Wu and Blanco, I mean, the top, but I mean, there are some other decent options, I think, down here that people are going to look at. I think actually Cobb is interesting too at 6,900 over there on DK. I think he's kind of interesting coming back from his injury as well. A couple guys, that I'm not really interested in here on the bottom, like Peterson's strikeout's been down a little bit, kind of scares me. Warren's interesting too here. I mean, he had a pretty high strikeout rate in the minors. He gets a matchup here against the White Sox, which I think could be interesting too. I think people could look at too. He's fairly cheap on DK too at 7,700. So a lot of options here. What do you think?
I'm going to interrupt there. I'm going to start off first with Warren. He's probably, one of the biggest, my circles that I have, just because in his 2 starts he's given up 12 earned runs. I think the field kind of sees that, and the box watchers kind of get off of that. I really like that play. Like you said, he's a good strikeout guy in AAA. Where do you think he kind of aligns for that bottom half for you? I know you like Holmes, but my first question I had for you that I kind of wanted to get off the table is Warren.
You're right. I just checking out 27% strikeout pitcher. He does have a ground ball lean. But his first 2 starts, I mean, he did get beat up here. I mean, hey, nerves are involved. I mean, the dude still was striking out 27%. It's got to mean he's got to probably have some swing and miss stuff. So, maybe the kid settles in a little bit. I mean, he's got to feel good against going against the White Sox, right? Like you would think he would feel pretty good about his chances here against the White Sox. So I'll just checking here. I mean, he faced the Angels in Philly. He came out against Philly. I mean, that's got to be intimidating with itself. Schwarber, I mean, that's that
He didn't
lineup
even play that bad there, though. And that's what was interesting, and like I see here in the chat, he had a 6 earned run average in AAA. I think these White Sox are a AAA team. So get those nerves down and a couple swings and misses. I think he's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah. It's risky, but this is what GPPs are about, right? Like, you're not going to want to load up Warren with your cash game, but, talking on that lower tier, we were talking about, I definitely have Holmes up on top. Man, part of me thinks I'd rather probably play Cobb than Warren, and maybe even Gibson and Berrios to me are kind of like the same kind of play. Maybe just because they're both old and they've been around a while, like, they got a little bit up. So I got this stupid hair hanging like right here. It's like in my sight. It's driving me nuts. But either way, I think they're all in play today. I think that's why it's going to be spread out a little bit. I think Warren is definitely the interesting guy. I think he'd be the pivot off of Holmes. I think Holmes is going to get some ownership here tonight for sure, especially at his price and especially over there on FanDuel. I mean, 6,100 pretty much it leaves you open with basically whatever you want. But I think pitching is going to be kind of spread out with Ray. You know what? If you're playing on DK and you got a 2-pitcher site, I don't think there's really 2 guys that I think are locked in. That would be SP1 and SP2. I think SP2 is kind of a little bit more of a mystery today than normal days. So I think, even if you wanted to go Ray, I just think the combinations are probably going to be plentiful here tonight to where you don't have to get pigeonholed in the same 2 dudes. But yeah. BJ, rank them for me. How you got them?
Well, just a couple quick notes down there. You had mentioned Cobb. I'm going to give him 2 or 3 starts. I'm going to let him kind of come back. He had 1 strikeout in that start. I'm going to kind of get away from that. I don't mind Phillips at 8K versus Miami. And I think I'm going to go Berrios over Gibson. Most of the time in a nutshell or in a vacuum would be Gibson. But, kind of liking a few of these red bats. And then in the park that it is, I'm going to go Berrios over that. But if we're ranking, let's go above 8K and under 8K. Does that work with you?
Sure.
I'm just going to give you 3 up top. It's going to be Wu, Blanco, and Ray, simply because of the ownership projection that we have on Robbie Ray. Great spot, but I play tournaments. I'm trying to win first place. There's a big difference between 10th and 1st, and I'm just going to put him ranking 3, not because of the spot, not because of the ability, simply because of ownership projections. And down low, I mean, I hate to do it, but as of right now, I mean, it's a T1 with Holmes and Warren for me on that bottom half. And I think I'm going to go Phillips as my 3rd. But just because, Gibson falls into that category, I don't like the park. I don't like the matchup. Most of the time, I'm going to be playing him in the top 3 or 4 down in that price range.
Yeah, Gibson does concern me a little bit. Obviously gives up 27% fly balls on the season to lefties. Here we are going into Cincinnati, and we know, I like when I don't like Cincinnati when they're facing lefties. When Ellie can turn around and hit left-handed, that's when Cincinnati is a lot better off. But Keith here asked about DJ Hurts. How do you feel about DJ Hurts?
Strikeout rate is there, obviously. I just don't want to pick on the matchup. That's it. On another slate, last time he pitched, I had some of them and had a lot of fun watching him, but he's going to be an X for me. If you're making a ton of lineups, run it because, the upside is there. But for me, I think I'm going to make, 5, maybe 10 lineups today at most. And he just won't make that pool for me.
Yeah, I don't like the matchup there. You look at his last 4 starts too. He hasn't even broke 80 pitches. So I think that's just a little bit more concerning, especially on FanDuel more so, just because on FanDuel you want to make sure you're getting that QS and that chance for that W. It's just so important being that 10 points. So definitely something you want to look about. But kind of with my rankings here, I agree with you. I got Wu. I'd have Wu 1, and I'd probably go Ray 2, then Blanco. Blanco just kind of been concerning me a little bit here recently. It's just hard to click on his name, but down below, definitely agree with you on Holmes. I like Holmes there. I probably would put Cobb and then Warren pretty close to each other, but I think they're all in play. I kind of like Cobb a little bit just because of his price and his past, knowing that they're probably going to stretch him out a little bit more than he pitched last time. I think last time he went 82. So, I mean, even if he gets up there in the mid-90s, he did only have 1K, but I think it's a decent opportunity here for him. So I don't mind Cobb here at all. So I think, at the price, if he was 1,000 more, I wouldn't be interested in Cobb. I think Kramer, some guy, I wouldn't mind looking at Kramer either. He just been struggling so much too here recently. I mean, his last 2 starts, he's been terrible. He did have a 20-pointer there against San Diego. I mean, there's some guys there that are really risky that do have a little bit of upside. I don't think today, BJ, is a day. I think pitching is so overwhelming that I think it could beat me. So, I don't mind fading the Ray, maybe paying down a little bit. I think today's the day. Most days I do start building with my bats. It's just that rare 1 out of 7, 8, slates that I'm like, holy shit, there's like 6 P1s out here today. So I got to freaking make sure I hit my pitching because I don't want to be 20 points in the hole, with my lineup, because you're pretty much not going to win a tournament at that point. So basically, definitely something about. Last thought about pitching before we move on to these games.
Really, we said it all, I believe. I'm trying to get as many of those top guys as I can. And the names that we had mentioned before, I'm going to mix in. The last name I'm just going to say for fun, and I feel like I should have said this the last time he pitched a couple of starts ago, but we got Cabrera at 6K against the Phillies. He's 6K. What is this? He's a 28% strikeout rate. Phillies are obviously a scary lineup, but if we have Castellanos batting 2, we know that's a strikeout or 2 there. So maybe just a fun name if you're making a handful of lineups. And we're going to talk about some pretty expensive bats with Yankees, Dodgers, teams like that coming up. And if you're making a handful of lineups and you kind of run out of salary and can't get up to a Cobb or a Warren, whatever it may be, I don't mind, you having a small percentage on Cabrera.
I don't mind Cabrera either. I mean, you look at his game log, 19, 28, 17. I mean, he's had 4, 8, 7 Ks. He's been up there close to the 100 pitch range three times. Sure, you don't like the matchup here against Philadelphia. I get on board with that. I mean, definitely could get on board for that. Price is just right, 6K. I mean, you could pair him up with, you could go Ray. Nobody's going to have Cabrera and Ray probably. It's going to be a pretty low-owned combination. That's what I mean. Like the SP2, I think when you pair up with Ray is where a lot of difference maker is going to be tonight. I think it's going to be pretty spread out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry to interrupt just for fun. I mean, Judge is 900 more than Cabrera. So that's just funny. Back in the old days, you never saw something in the 6Ks and now we're looking at a 7K batter. We'll get to it in a little bit, but I thought that was fun.
Right. I hear you. Just want to say hi to some other people. We got Nades in the chat here. Says he likes some Grant Holmes here today. We got Po Jen, Stoner, Michael Knack, Michael W, Keith Fape, Jason Turner, Rance, Wardo, Kenny W in the house. Appreciate you guys all being here. Trap God, I see you in there as well, Sean. Appreciate you guys all being in here today, talking some baseball. Let's dive into some of these games here. We got here today, BJ, 6:35 start. I did mention there's a little bit of weather. Like a couple of the games had yellow, orange, maybe possibility for a delay. Didn't look like anything we should be overly concerned about. But, didn't we just feel one a few weeks ago where we weren't really concerned? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, we see a PPD. It was like, you fuckers.
Yeah. I pulled it up now, just green and yellow green. So I think we're all squared away.
All right. Sounds good. What time is the safety meeting? It'll be right after I am done with this one here. That is for sure. But, all right, let's dive into these games here. 6:35, we got Washington at Baltimore. We got that game sitting at a 9. Looking across the deck real quick at all the games, we got the highest over under today is 9.5. We got like 3 or 4 games sitting at 9. So we got a pretty balanced slate where everything between 8.5, 8 runs, 9 runs. So I think it's interesting. We don't have any 10s. I think we got 2 7.5. So definitely got a pretty tight slate here today, but Washington, Baltimore, we got obviously DJ Hertz here against Kramer. Is there anything you're looking at here? Anything you like? Anything sticking out?
No, I think it's an interesting thought with who we have at shortstop today, that we know the upside of CJ. So I believe that he's going to be my only one-off from the national side. I don't really like any other batters here. I mean, you can make a case for James Wood, but really that's all I have for the national side. Same goes for Baltimore. I mean, you can kind of pick and choose a one-off. I wouldn't hate you if you did like a little mini stack, but this isn't a game that's super high on my my stack rankings.
Yeah, I agree with you there. We got 11 games, not too high on the rankings. DJ Hertz is okay. I just Baltimore. I think. I think there'll be a pretty low owned stack if you wanted to go there tonight. Definitely have some upside there, that's for sure. I'm just not too interested on picking on the lefty. I like it when Gunnar sees righties, but I mean, you still have Santander turning around the right side. You got Mountcastle, Eloy. Especially with Holiday being a lefty, I just prefer Baltimore playing against pitchers from the right side. But let's move on here to the next game. We have 6:40 game. We have Seattle at Detroit. Man, Tigers busted out with 15 runs last night. Kerry Carpenter comes back, seemed to give a jolt there to that lineup. Man, Jake Rogers, I think it's like his third freaking grand slam of the season. He had 7 RBIs last night, which was kind of funny. And then they brought in some field players to pitch at the end and round it out, ended up giving up. I think he said it was the most runs the Tigers scored in like 10 years or some shit like that. That was something stupid I heard. But either way, we got Detroit going against Brian Wu. And then obviously you have the Mariners going against Bo Brisky, who we shouldn't be too afraid of. You like any of these Mariners?
Mariners, I mean, over the last 30 days, they've all been kind of hitting really well. I love Randy Arozarena there. I mean, he's going to be, if this lineup is final, let's see, it's not final yet, but they haven't projected in the 2 spot. I don't mind that. Love a little Cal, even Justin Turner. So, this is going to be near the bottom half of, if I'm making 20, 30, 40 lineups, I would definitely want to have some exposure, but, not super high on my list, but last 30, they're all hitting well. So definitely worth some consideration here.
Yeah, I mean, Brisky, almost 30% fly balls to the left side. I think that's a little bit concerning there. So, Kyle Raleigh, I think is definitely interesting here today. Be somebody I might be looking at. But, I think the Mariners are definitely an interesting one here. Brisky just isn't anybody that I'm really too worried about. Looks like Wardo said, looks like the Mariners lineup might be out. Looks like Randy's back
just
3, no Turner today.
Yeah, no Turner, Randy 3, usual suspects around there. So appreciate that. It should be all updated now.
Now I can say Brisky is obviously just going to be a starter. I don't know if Maeda is coming in after here or not, but Brisky, he's only going to go a couple innings here. He probably won't even make it all the way through the first time through the lineup. So not really too concerned about him. He hasn't given up a home run either, but I'm not too concerned. He's not going to be in there too long. You're going to get the Tigers bullpen. Tigers bullpen actually isn't too bad, which is why I don't have the Mariners stacked up there too high. But we're looking at a game total sitting at 8. Like I said, we got a handful of 9s that I think we can look at. But, I think maybe some one-offs. Kyle Riley would be interesting. I think that's pretty much about it.
I like it.
Let's move on to the next 640 game. What we got? Like 4 640 games here today? Damn.
Yeah, that's why they couldn't fade it. That's why
you know what? I think you're exactly right. You're exactly right on that one, because they have been fading them 640s. As a Tiger fan, all the home games are at 640. When the season started, I was like, fuck, I ain't going to be able to play my team. I mean, most of the time. I mean, some of these teams start at 640 at home. It kind of takes them out of most of the time of the main slate. But we got Miami and Philly. We're sitting here at a game total 9. We got Cabrera going for the Miami against Philly, and then we got Tyler Phillips here. So, I mean, if you want to pick on Cabrera, definitely could do so here. I mean, fly ball percentage higher to lefties, 27%. He does have a ground ball lean, 47% to lefties, 45% to righties, but that 27% fly ball to lefties, I think interesting. Man, we got staring at Kyle Schwarber sitting there in that one hole. Man, that looks interesting. I mean, I wouldn't want to pick on the Phillies with Cabrera. It is a little interesting though at his price tag, but man, I still think it could be a dangerous one here. I mean, he best just leave Kyle Schwarber alone. We might see one put on the seats at first at bat.
Yeah, we've seen that a couple times this season. This kind of falls in. If I'm playing Cabrera in a lineup, I want to play a couple of Phillies or vice versa. Really, my first thought process is love the bats here for Philly. We know they can strike out. You know, a bunch of these guys are in the 20s, mid 20s over the last 30 days. So if you're making, a handful of Philly stacks, definitely want to combat that with a nice little hedge stack with Cabrera. But I see Nades and Jack talking. I don't know if he means he's chalky or if he's chalked, but I don't see that much ownership going to Cabrera. So, but Phillies, they're definitely on my stack list, and I will be hedging out with a lineup or two with Cabrera. But like you said, Schwarber leading off, great. Harper, Stott, but I don't like a nasty Nick in the two slot. That just sounds like a strikeout or two in the first two at bats.
Yeah, Nades has said he's seeing 15 to 20 on Edward. I mean, it could be just because of the price. I mean, because we are going to want some Yankee bats and so forth. But 33% K rate, as Nate mentioned, to righties. But I just you're sitting here looking at Trey Turner. I mean, he's got a 19% K rate. Baum's got a 16% K rate. Castellanos is 20. I mean, Rojas at the bottom, 17. And you got Real Muto at 24%. I mean, so you don't even really have any high strikeout guys on that right side. So that's really, it does concern me, his fly ball rate to Schwarber. I mean, I think a good play if he is going to be at that, Schwarber being a one-off would be an excellent play. As I mentioned, Cabrera does have a ground ball lean, so you're definitely going to want to have some guys that can hit the ball in the air. Schwarber, guys over 30% generally is what you're looking for. Schwarber 32%, Harper 32%, Castellano 30%. And Marsh 33%. So definitely got a few guys there that from the left side can put the ball in the air. So that'd be a little bit concerned on Cabrera, but I like what you're saying about the hedge stack. If you're playing a few teams, play a Cabrera on one and stack against them on a few other lineups and a few other teams. Mm-hmm. So don't mind that either at all. Pojan says indica or sativa slate. Well, hey, anyone you want, man, whatever tastes good.
Depends on the time of day, right?
Yeah, usually at night it's an indica slate for me. If it's morning time or lunchtime, daytime, something like that. Like if I got to do some projects, then it may be some sativa time. But I don't keep too many of the sativas around. That is for sure. But let's move on to our other games here. We got all kinds of games to talk about.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Something to say about for the Marlins bats here on this side.
Yeah.
Berger, Sanchez, Bryant. I mean, they just are batting 2-3-4 today. I don't hate the spot. I mean, over the last just 3-4 games, look at their game logs. They're all in the teens. They're hitting the ball well. So definitely maybe worth thoughts of a mini stack or maybe a one-off of one of those guys. They're all reasonably cheap, $3,300, $4,700, $3,100. So I don't mind that at all.
I don't mind that at all. Good point there. That's for sure. So the next game, as I was mentioning, is the Cubbies going here to visit the Indians, 8.5 here at 640. And we got Tyon going against Alex Cobb, who we were talking about a little bit earlier. What do you think here? Do you like any of the stacks here? I'm nothing really here stands out for me in this one, but anything you like?
Yeah, no, Tyon, we didn't talk much about him earlier. He's just one of those guys that I don't ever feel gets blown up, but he doesn't have one of those great games. You're just looking at his peripherals here. I mean, he's got a decent walk rate, both sides of the plate for the season, just under 5%. His strikeouts aren't there. Not giving up too much power. He does have a slight, larger percentage for fly ball rate, but no bats here. Just thought I'd mention this is going to be one of those games where it's just, you kind of see both sides and you can see it just being a boring 3-4 game, whatever it is. Nobody plays great, maybe a one-off home run, but I'm going to be staying away from this game.
Yeah, Cobb is a really heavy ground ball pitcher. He's in the 60% on both sides of the plate. So, that's why I was kind of looking at that earlier, just kind of thinking Cobb at that price can give me up some innings and, definitely like that. I mean, the only one maybe I'd look at maybe Cody Bellinger. I like his fly ball rate. He's like 37%. So you got a ground ball pitcher. Cody Bellinger might be a guy for a potential one-off if you wanted to look at something like that. The Guardian or Indians, I almost call them the Guardians. I can't do that. That's against the rules. But that bullpen's pretty good. So, I don't even like fooling with them. So this game here for me is going to be a X out. But the next game, we got another 640 game. We got St. Louis at Cincinnati sitting at the highest total at 9.5 here today in the Great American Home Run Ballpark. We got Kyle Gibson against Pagan here. What do you think? If you wanted to look and go against Gibson, who I think might get a little bit of ownership here today, I can't say he's going to get a lot, but I don't know if you're going to get too much leverage, but definitely the lefties in Cincinnati is interesting because Gibson, he gives up quite a bit. His fly ball percentage of lefties sitting at 27%. Definitely something to look at. He's ground ball rate to righties is 53%, 19% fly ball. You're looking at 40% ground balls, 27% fly balls. Man, I think a guy like Ellie De La Cruz is looking pretty good here today. And as we know, Cincinnati, Milwaukee steal the most bases by far of any two teams in all of MLB. So you get the stolen base side too if you want to look at some Cincinnati today.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head. No full stacks for me, but you can really, create some fun little mini stacks, 3-mans, 2-mans, like you said through here, get a double, get a couple stolen bases. So when you add in Park, it's definitely on my list for minis. Obviously, Ellie is my favorite, but I don't mind a little steer. I don't like getting a little bit weirder down the bottom of the lineup with Candelario. So I'll definitely be trying to mix and match here. I mean, shoot, I love to play some Will Benson at the bottom of the lineup too. So love that. I'm a little interested what you think about the other side for some of these Cardinals bats. Do you have any thoughts there?
The Cardinals actually were hitting pretty well there for a little bit. They kind of dropped off here recently. I can't say that I've really stacked up the Cardinals at all this whole season. They just haven't really done much. I mean, the lineup is getting a little bit better. I just think on a big slate like this, I'll be honest, I just probably look right past them. I didn't really dive into them because I haven't really been stacking them up too much. But yeah, I think this one here, I mean, it's got the highest over under on the whole slate. So obviously Vegas likes this game for some runs. I mean, if it's, Cincinnati obviously is in a pretty good spot here today, but sitting with what's their run total? I mean, the Cardinals are sitting 4.9, Cincinnati's sitting at 4.8. So they literally have the Cardinals, a tenth of a run up better here today. But I mean, I could see an argument for both sides. I guess my point is I haven't played much of the Cardinals to where I even really consider too much of them, and it could be my fault. But I didn't look there, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think it's hurt you too much this season, to be honest. But definitely just on the list, when you look at, I like guys that don't strike out. So that always kind of jumps out of the page first and you kind of take a deeper dive. But I don't mind, if this lineup is final, which I believe that it is, I don't mind a 1, 2, 4, 5, a bunch of guys all striking under, 9% over the last 30 days. I know, guys like Arenado, Donovan, guys like that aren't necessarily fun to roster, but that's what I would look at. Maybe a one-off, like Nate said, like a Cardinals lefty. Unfortunately, I can't touch Goldie at 5K, but I think it's definitely worth a look and a couple of stabs in lineups just because, like you said, over-under and not striking out as much.
Yeah, we like the Park. Highest over-under. I mean, it's definitely something not to overlook. So, but just moving on, we got kinds of games here. We're going to run into our first low total game, 7.5. We got Houston running into Tampa. We got Blanco against Little here. I'm not really too interested in either side of this. I don't know if you can talk me into anything or if there's any one-offs you like, but really not looking here at anything.
No, I mean, I find myself in the boat every time I stack Houston or do a little mini, they never pan out. And every time I fade them, they're just, going off. So over the last 30, I will mention, guys like Bregman, Jordan, Diaz. I mean, they're all, Bregman's at 388 WOBA, but Jordan at 461, Diaz at 423, not striking out, not as much as the Cardinals, but all around that 10% range. So I don't mind it, but I believe this kind of falls into an offense that I always kind of don't mind it. It's kind of like, you don't hate it if you stack a little mini with them, but but never really on my radar specifically today. Over under, I know we got good pitching on the other side, but I'm going to fade besides a one-off from a Jordan or a Bregman or a Diaz.
Sounds good to me. So the next one we have Oakland going into New York Mets, 8.5 sitting here. We got Joey Estes on the mound against David Peterson, the lefty. I mean, Oakland last night, man, that was the winner last night, man. They got the job done last night. I mean, surprisingly, Oakland, you look at their team numbers, I mean, man, they've been putting up some numbers here so far this season. I mean, you look at some of their power numbers, it's kind of surprising when you look at it, actually.
Yeah.
So especially the park they play in half of their games, which is definitely surprising. The A's have kind of turned into that little sneaky sleeper team that, you can play, that you can add in, that the pieces are generally pretty cheap. Are you interested in any of these A's today against a ground ball pitcher in David Peterson, who doesn't give up too many fly balls, 25% K rate to lefties, 16 pretty low to righties? Are you interested in any of these guys here?
Yeah, no, I mean, you needed Langoliers to win yesterday. I love playing Butler over the last couple of months. Well, really month and a half or so. JJ Bleday batting 3. I won't be mad at anybody 1 through 6 here. And even to throw in, to Max in the 9 hole, I don't mind that as well. Kind of a little mini wraparound stack, but this is definitely, if I was writing slate plan today and had a 1 through 5, I think that they're going to round up near the bottom of that, but still on the list for sure.
I didn't see this here, but Wardo's saying Rooker's on the paternity list. So it does do a little damper to obviously to that lineup. Yeah, I don't see him in there. Cameron's getting the start over there, but yeah, I could see that Mets bullpen has been freaking garbage here recently. I mean, they got beat up pretty good yesterday. I think that one, I think it's an interesting one. I have it ranked a little bit lower. Maybe I'd have them pretty close to outside the top 5. Maybe if I was looking at stacks here today, but I can't say I'm overly in love here today with the Oakland A's. Now you got the Mets here against Joey Estes, low ground ball. He's a fly ball pitcher to the left side, 35%, 32% to righties. Definitely a fly ball pitcher. You got some guys here that on the fly ball side, you got Lindor at 31%, McNeil 29. Everybody else is in the mid 20s. So we really don't have too heavy of a fly ball lean here with these Mets. But I think Lindor maybe is interesting. I just don't like these Mets here against Estes for some reason.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird. You got Pete batting in the 5 hole, and then you got McNeil, who would be my 2 favorite batters. They're batting 5 and 6. So this is kind of falls into one of those instances where you wish you're batting 3, 4. I know it doesn't happen, but it's definitely a weird click spending that kind of money on a 5 and a 6.
One thing, I always look at, when you're looking at one thing, I had a guy tell me a long time at DFS, if you're looking at fly ball and ground ball numbers, don't be a dumbass and peel off. When a ground ball pitcher is thrown to a ground ball hitter, what the hell do you think you're going to get? It's the same thing with the fly ball. Fly ball pitcher and you get a fly ball hitter, chances are, what do you think you're going to get? So, you're going against the grain sometimes. So that is one of the stats I do like to pay attention to, especially some of these pitchers that do have some ground ball lead. Not saying Estes, has that here, but on the other side, obviously Peterson is 67% to lefties. So, obviously you're going to want guys that hit the ball in there. Don't be going to guys that hit ground balls because that's what you're going to get either way. But all right, moving on here. And this one, we still got 4 games left here. So we got a game here I think is going to get some ownership. It's been getting some ownership. We got the Yankees in Chicago looking at a game total of 9. I mean, man, Soto last night. First time, I was surprised. First time he hit 3 home runs in his career in a game. I did find that to be surprising when I saw that.
I think originally once they pitched to him the 3rd time, I think, why are you pitching to him again? Now I know, you got a pretty packed up lineup, but once a guy hits 2, you stop pitching to him. And I believe that was kind of my thought process, as I was surprised as well. But I think most of the time in the past, these guys have figured out after 2 home runs, stop giving them pitches to hit.
Well, I mean, the dude behind him is the total reason why they don't pitch
Well,
to him. If
but-
they
but my
reversed
whole-
it, Judge would get more pitches.
Yeah, so that's another thing that I was going to bring up, because we had talked about this a few weeks ago, how they were totally pitching around Judge because they had whoever batting fourth.
Austin
But,
Wells.
Yeah, I think he still might be batting fourth, but I think they should switch that sometimes, right? Kind of if I'm Judge, I'm thinking let me bat in the 2 hole so that Soto can come up after me, and he would kind of bump up some numbers, I believe.
Yeah, it's kind of like how Dodgers treat Ohtani. They keep him up there high. I mean, when you look at a lot of the games, like the only guys generally are getting 5 at bats are the top 2 or 3 dudes in any of the lineups for the most part. So why wouldn't you want, Judge? Sure, he's sitting at 3. I'm sure I'd like to hear that discussion, like between some managers, why Soto would be in front of Judge. And I'm sure there's probably some compelling arguments for both sides. But if you're sitting there telling me you think, in that opinion, then the Yankees are telling me they think Soto's a better hitter than Judge. In my opinion, because you're taking the bat more so out of Judge's hands than you are Soto's with that lineup construction. But Soto should be leading off. You could have. I guess this discussion is you're not protecting Judge, I guess, because you're leaving Judge. And as you said, he's 6,900 too. He's more than a couple of the pitchers we're looking at playing. And if he gets walked 2 of his at bats, you just took the bat 2 times out of his hand. It's kind of. If I told you that every time before you click that 6,900, you'd be hesitant to click that.
Yeah.
So,
well, another, not to divvy too far off this, but what would be your number when you roster somebody that you almost say, I need them to score double digits or hit a home run? I believe at 6,500, 6,400, we have a full discussion for that. So when you roster a 6,900, you're thinking he has to hit one into the seats.
Whatever that number is, I paid in the salary, I times it by 3. That's how many points I need from you.
Yeah. Yeah. You 150. Yeah, I got you.
So, if I'm paying $7,000, I need 21 points. I need a homer out your ass. Like that's the way it is. Like if I'm paying up, that's what I need. But, you're also paying for the consistency of that homer too, because, you're looking at guys that, might be 1,000 cheaper and they got 12 home runs, or do you want to play the dude with 30? It's like, dude's hitting 2.5 times more homers the other guy. Why? That's why you're kind of doing that. You're not like the Soto, those big numbers, those slate breaking numbers, they do happen in baseball like that, where you had to have Soto, but there's sometimes in baseball where you don't even need to have that guy because there's so many variants in baseball because, the rest of the lineup might not work out, or that's where most of the runs went last night, or, so forth. So, yeah, it's that's a pretty good compelling error. I'd love to hear that discussion. But, obviously Yankees are going to be pretty chalky. That freaking White Sox bullpen sucks. They're sitting at almost a 5 ERA. Colorado sitting 5.66, Toronto 5.02, White Sox 4.89, Texas, KC round out the top 5 as far as worst earned runs is in for bullpens. So, obviously we know the White Sox, one of the worst teams in baseball history at this point. Stacking up the Yankees the last few days hasn't been all that great unless you had Soto yesterday. But anything standing out? I think this Yankee stack's probably going to be the highest owned, I would assume. So
yeah, I have to say they're my number 1 stack, 1 through 9. I hate it. So I'm, obviously going to have shares of them, but I want to get different. I think how chalky, I wonder how chalky the top lineups will be with going Ray. Sounds like Cabrera's falling into that list, and then mixing in 4 or 5 Yankee bats. That's going to be the chalk in my opinion. And I hope they have a good day. I'm going to make lineups with them. I'm going to try and get weird with the combos, though. I'm going to leave out, Soto and Judge. Then I'm going to make some with both. Salary, I think making some with both and trying to get a couple stud pitchers. And I know it's tight, but playing a lot of cheaper bats and kind of getting weird that way, those are going to be fun. But I hope they have a good day today. I'm going to have enough exposure to them.
Yeah, I think the Yankees are definitely going to be the highest owned team today. Them and the Dodgers, I think, are going to be up there. Both of them are expensive bats. I could see why both sides here. The Yankees really haven't been going off here recently. You look at their team numbers the last 7 days. Actually, their OPS, their top 5, actually have 12 homers here. But how many of them were Soto yesterday? But the Yankees, they've been hitting the ball. Can't say they haven't. Obviously, this bullpen sucks. A lot of reason to play. A lot of reason to like the Yankees today. I think if you want to build a team today and you start building it and you got Robbie Ray, and even if you go low and you can throw in a couple of the Yankees, you can kind of see what you have left. There's going to be quite a bit of teams that are probably going to start out that way, where you're going to see the Sotos and the Judges could potentially with those lineups. You're going to see what you have left, and then you're going to see what you're going to be able to get out of that. So, just kind of when you're building your team, kind of figure out where other people, like what are first 3 clicks people are going to make? What do you got left? Where's that leading people? Where are you going to go? So I think, especially with the salary being out there, we got a few pitchers on the low end that we talked about that people are going to be able to use. I'm not afraid of the pitching on the top end. I mean, that'd be saying I'm afraid of Robbie Ray today. They're going to burn me. He could very well. He's still Robbie Ray. So I'm cool with it if I lose because he's Robbie damn Ray. So, I'm not too concerned about that. But, just when you're building your teams, don't, it's easy to get pigeonholed in what everybody else is doing. And that's sometimes, just maybe making a different click or paying up a little higher for a pitcher or whatever else might be the way to go. But reading into this next game, Dodgers, Milwaukee, 8-10. We got the Dodgers going into the Brew City, sitting at a game total of 9. Dodgers, I think, are going to be the second highest owned stack here tonight. Shohei, obviously, he's been racking the shit out of it. You got Montas on the other side. Ground ball leaning to the right side, 45%. Not so much to the left side, down to 37%. 26% fly ball rate to the lefties, 25 to righties. But man, you got some fly ball hitters on this Dodger squad. Like I talk about that 30% range. You got fly balls with Ohtani at 34. Mookie, my boy Mookie is back 35. Freddie Freeman 32. Will Smith 40%. Kiki, do you love me? He's at 27%. But some of these Dodgers, like I was showing, the Mets didn't have that many fly ball hitters. These Dodgers got all kinds of fly ball hitters. That's why I like them here today. But Dodgers were getting Mookie back. Man, that definitely helps them. Going to be the second highest price stack of the slate.
Yeah, very expensive. Love that. I want to play all the Freeman, all the Ohtani. Just fun going back to that little, thing that I said a couple weeks ago. We're only 3.5 games back in the division, still half a month left. So I'm going to have some Dodgers lineups tonight, focusing on the lefties. Problem is that, guys near the bottom, Kiermaier, Lux, we don't know how many at-bats they're going to get. And then the prices with the top half. But Ohtani and Freeman, for me, those are going to be where I can get them. Those two will probably rank higher than, let's say, Judge and Soto combos. So they're going to be on my stack list, and it's going to be a tough watch. But I think they score some runs tonight.
So I think of the Yankees and Dodgers, I think they're both going to be pretty high on, because when you look at the teams below that, I think there's this pretty significant gap that the comfortability rate is going to be with people clicking on the stacks. Because, I mean, you're going to start talking after, like, do we want some Phillies against Cabrera? A guy that might get some love here tonight. I mean, do we want to go to those Cardinals or maybe the Reds? I don't think people are going to be as comfortable with that as clicking maybe a Dodger stack or a Yankee stack here tonight, because we have some cheap pitching options. So I think you're going to see them being steamed up today. I could see both of these teams being steamed up. Hey, if you click on Robbie Ray today, you either make sure you're a little uncomfortable at pitching, and if you're going to use one of those two. But I think you're going to see quite a few teams with Ray, with Dodgers and Yankee stacks here today. So I think that's going to be the two popular combos. So what do you feel about that, BJ? You think that's right?
You hit it nails. So exactly, if you're going to play one of these chalk, stacks, that's okay. You just got to get way different at pitching. Maybe a couple cheap guys down below. A lot of guys won't do that. I mean, you'll find them trying to get salary and playing the big bats, but just get a little different. Just pivot off. Take a Gibson, a Barrios, a Phillips. It is baseball. It is the middle of August. We're deep into the season, and it's essentially almost, for me, every other day, every third day, there's a team that surprises you. A couple nights ago, White Sox scored 14. Tigers last night, they scored whatever you said, 14 or 15. It's just, that's baseball, long seasons, middle of the summer now. So, and that goes the same for pitching. So you nailed it right on the head.
I will say that Milwaukee bullpen is one of the better bullpens in all of MLB too. So I think that's why I probably have the Yankees a little higher than the Dodgers, just because of that bullpen that is coming in right behind for the Brew Crew. Does concern me a little bit. But, still, hopefully Montas can get us a few innings. But, that bullpen for the Brewers, actually ERA, I think, is bottom two. I think you got Cleveland 2.74, Milwaukee 3.27, Atlanta, Cincinnati, Oakland are also there as the 5 best ERAs in the bullpens. But we got 2 more games. We got Toronto and LA Angels. We got sitting at 8.5. We got Berrios here against Tyler Anderson. Kind of 2 old veterans here going after it. Anderson, ground ball, 38% to righties, 36%, not that great. 38% fly balls to lefties. Definitely be concerning. So I'm going to be looking at possibly a Dalton Varsho, maybe in that 2 hole here tonight. I think is a guy that's definitely interesting. Man, it's just tough for me to stack up these Blue Jays just because the power up and down that lineup ain't enough. Sure, they got, Guerrero and Springer. And, it's just up and down. I just wish they had a little bit more pop for me. But Blue Jays, Angels, I don't mind the park. Angels Park is one of the better parks, giving up home runs. Definitely an interesting spot. You like any of these Blue Jays?
Yeah, exactly what you said. Varsho hitting lefty pretty well. Obviously, Vladdy. If Kirk finds the lineup today, I want to play some of him. And it's kind of an NBA thing, if you will. But Springer got tossed last night. Was it last night or 2 nights? It was last night. He got hit, and I believe him back in the lineup today. I want to play a share or 2 of him, leading off most likely, and a little bit pissed off about getting thrown out of the game. He was clearly hit by the ball and lost the challenge and kind of got into the ump's face. So, a little bit of a chip on your shoulder headed back in tonight. So I want to get a share of him somewhere.
I like them little tidbits that, when you play enough DFS, you kind of notice the thing. Like my thing is when I see a hitter move up and they're not normally in the 2 or 3 hole and hitting bottom, and they move up that 2 hole. It's like that manager knows something, man. It's just like instant for me, like especially a cheap dude. I'm clicking that. That's where I look one off. Like I'll look for, who's moved up in the lineup a little bit. Manager knows something. He likes the way he's swinging. Maybe he's doing some extra reps. Just things you wouldn't know. But man, when a guy gets bumped up, it just seems more payoff more times than not. So, but yeah, I like that little angle there, getting thrown out, coming back a little agitated tonight. And, I don't know where the umpires move if it goes from home to first, but yeah, when he's standing over there on first, he might give him a little, on the way by or something.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a trot by. No singles, no walks for him. He's swinging hard today. So
yeah, I could see that. That's for sure. But we got the other late game here tonight, the other 7.5 game, the 2 we have on the slate, everything else between 8 and 9.5. But we got Atlanta, San Francisco. We talked here about Holmes. We talked about Robbie Ray, 2 guys here. I think it's a strong pitching matchup on both sides of a game here we have all tonight. I kind of like the fact that Holmes will be going head-to-head against Robbie Ray, so I actually don't mind that pairing, actually, if you wanted to do that. I love to play pitchers up and going against each other. It does seem to a lot of times to coincide where, battling against each other. But obviously Ray's going to be chalk. I'm not sure if I got any interest in them Atlanta bats, but damn, there's definitely some leverage opportunities there with a lineup like that you could definitely look at. You look at Atlanta. I mean, shit, they're hitting top 3 in all of MLB right now as far as OPS the last 7 days. They've got 13 homers, which is actually they got 15 homers in the last week, which is top of MLB. I mean, hey, Robbie Ray gives up homers 2.21 to 9. I can't see a reason why. Hey, if you got a few teams, Atlanta might be a team you might want to stack up. I mean, I hate the park, though. That's the problem, too, I have. But, I mean, hey, I could see it there. I mean, you're getting some hell of a leverage, too. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I think it's kind of a no-brainer spot. It doesn't really matter what your bankroll is. Well, it matters, but, not in this case. Take a contest, let's say it's the $3 on DK or the $5 single entry or something like that. I mean, it's kind of a clear spot. You just throw in a stack of this, right? Going against the 55% on the other side. And I don't care if it's 4-mans or 5-mans, but just run it. You know what I mean? We had success with that in the past. Take the A's, for example, last night. I forget who the pitcher was. Was it Blackburn or whoever it was? Yeah. I mean, he was chalk. And if you played, a couple of dummies with the A's in for $9, 3 lineups in the $3, you're feeling pretty good. Now you're burning that $9, whatever it is most of the time. But, we're top heavy. We're playing for first. And I believe that's a huge leverage spot.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Robbie Ray, 37% fly balls given up to lefties, 38.9% to righties. And then you go over here and look at this Atlanta lineup. And as I mentioned, that 30% rate, you got Soler, almost 35, Riley, almost 35. Ozuna, who you think would have a higher, is actually at 26. You got Olsen, 36, Murphy, 32, Laureano, 34, Whit Merrifield, 35. you got all kinds of dudes on these lineup here that are hitting fly balls. I mean, it'd be a little bit concerning for Robbie Ray. I think that's why, like I feel comfortable fading Robbie Ray here today, even though he is the clear SP1 and is going to be the chalky guy. But man, this Braves team, if you were to pick a team, this is probably one of them you wouldn't want to have the matchup against Robbie Ray today. I mean, this is not a good matchup for Robbie Ray, I feel. But the strikeout opportunity is there. You look at the strikeouts that Atlanta does have here. I mean, you do have Olsen 28, almost 29%, Arcia almost 30, Murphy 33, Lariano 37. You do have some strikeouts in the lineup, Ozuna 25. I mean, it is there. So it's kind of like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't kind of thing. I mean, it's a Robbie Ray exact situation. You're going to get the strikeout side, or you're going to give up the 2.21 per 9 homers he's been giving up too. So, I mean, you got a team. I mean, shit, I think that's a spot there that definitely could go off for a few runs. Nobody's going to be on it. I think the Braves would definitely be a pretty good leverage play, pretty good pivot. I don't mind it. Like you said, hey, throw it in a cheap one. See what happens. Maybe throw it in the $5 single entry or something. See what happens. I mean, shit, if they go off for some run, use them maybe as a mini stack, I think might be something you could do. I think it's an interesting spot. Not something that I'm like, jumping up and down for, but man, just because Ray being so chalky, I think that would be something. I mean, to set up a chalky side and just kind of way I laid it out for you with the fly ball rates and got some fly ball hitters, like, man, there's a lot of reasons why not to like Robbie Ray, I think.
Yeah. And you know what? We'd be talking most likely if we had 5 other pitchers rather than these other 5 we're talking about on another slate, he might be a fade for us. So just, slate dependent chalk, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. That is for sure. But hey, real quick, let's roll down here with our 3 top stacks here before we run out of here. But who are your top 3 stacks?
So I will, just to make it easier and kind of give you an extra one. I know Yankees, Dodgers going to be popular. I'll count those T1s up top. I have Phillies at 2, and then Cardinal minis at 3. Those are going to be really what I'm focused on building around. I'm going to make some of those minis full stacks. So that's how I'll kind of ended up with a home run call of Freddie Freeman tonight. So let's do it.
All right, I think I am going to roll Yankees, Dodgers. I got Yankees ahead just because that Milwaukee bullpen against the Dodgers, I think, is a little bit scary. And then I got a bunch of teams bunched up that I can't really convince myself to put one ahead of the other. I do have the Phillies in that group. I have the Reds in that group. I have the A's in that group. I'm going to slip the Braves in there too. Even the Brewers, I think, is interesting. Cardinals, you want Mets. I think there's like 7 or 8 teams, I think, that are kind of all in that same bunch that I think is going to help the slate kind of let you be different if you wanted to go that route and not stick with one of those top 2 teams. Maybe if you wanted to use those other, the top 2 Yankees, Dodgers, maybe it's more of a mini if you wanted, especially on DK, maybe, 2 if you wanted to look that way. Pitching's cheap enough. You could probably one off Soto if you wanted to go there. Yeah, definitely all kinds of ways we could go. I think it's an interesting slate. As we mentioned, not much weather. 6:35 start. Make sure you guys get that shit in there. If you got any pre-dummy lineups in there, don't check it out because there's 5 games too that start pretty early too.
Yeah, so the whole slate.
The damn slate. That sucks. You come in at 6:45, you pretty much already missed like 5 games. So make sure you guys get in there and get your lineups in there. And real quick, got to give a shout out to our friends over there at Drafters. If you guys are getting into that best ball, make sure you check it out. Get you a promo deposit up to $100 for using promo code SHIPIT. Get over there and check it out. As we were talking yesterday, you guys can do all them slow drafts, all that fun stuff. I got to get in there and mix it up a little more, BJ. I haven't got in there. My brain gets into baseball. I hate like mixing the two. Like basically when this live final for baseball is over, football will be right there. I'll start really diving in to football a little bit more. It just seems like it's overwhelming for me to pay attention to all that shit. And I don't get comfortable. I just don't like randomly drafting off. I like to think about my own process. I do like to consume, everybody's rankings, what they think, and, all that stuff. I like to come up with my own process. When I feel like at first, I feel like I'm just throwing it out there the first few times, like just get my feet wet, and I'd like to be more prepared. And I do it every damn year. I like 10 teams in. I'm like, what the fuck was I doing my first 10 teams? I'm fucking ass. So
life happens fast, and that's the same thing in late April or whenever the draft started to get released. I'm like, I'm gonna do 2 a day. Here we go. Then you blink and it's August, and I'm nowhere close to the number I wanted to. So time to catch up. So let's draft a lot the next couple of weeks and kind of make up for that.
Sounds good to me. But hey, I'll be over there. I'm gonna finish up the slate plan for us over here at SHIPIT Nation. Appreciate all you guys here. Michael W., James Sarconi, Rants, all you guys, Wardo, everybody. Appreciate everybody being here. Let's kick some ass tonight. Let's get them SHIPIT logos up there at the top of the boards. We'll catch you guys here. Appreciate you guys all joining us. We'll be back here next week. I'll be back Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll have Ham and Nades here over the next few days. BJ will be in there. What day are you on with any of them guys that made them days? The weekends,
No,
right?
yeah, no.
Ham and
I
Nades
just have
here the
Coors
next couple
weekend.
days.
Yeah.
So appreciate all you guys being here. Let's ship it. Where the hell's the ending?